Hi there, how are you? It's May. It's May the 29th, 2023. I'm known as Victoria, and I have been gifted an appliance 2 generations newer than the iPhone 6 that I was trying to make my way with. This is a game changer for me, so you're going to hear from me all the time now. If you haven't listened to me previously, if you don't know who I am, I'm a woman who has survived not one act of genocide, but 2 in less than a decade. I'm not welcome in this world. I'm not understood by those of the world. There's an active agenda to murder me. I'm in constant fear for my life due to the absolute, the cursed cockroaches constantly, trying to end my life. So forced adoption is legally defined as genocide. In the fall of 2018, covens of cursed creatures came to steal and trust private property, embezzle an entire inheritance, so some beast of Belial bankers could enrich themselves, racketeering. All of it's prophesied. All of it's prophesied. So this is why I stay steady, because I know the truth. I know the truth. So I always have to set up boundaries because I am constantly being blocked, shadow banned, discriminated against because of my race. So what we're looking at together here, above the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, is the living law. The living law. The living law applies to both the righteous, who are the living, and the wicked, who are dead. That's why it's referred to as the common law. And hopefully, the appliance I have now will make it a lot easier for those who are listening to read what's on the screen. If you are listening, please know that there are no such thing as coincidence. You're listening for a reason, and you're welcome to listen. Please know that I'm offensive because I speak the truth, and the truth is not a language that's welcome here. So the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, because I'm going to speak my native language, and that's the problem. So I have to set up my boundaries. I have to set up boundaries. I have to reserve all rights, waive none. And so that's why we're looking at these, because I now have to inform the persons who act as YouTube or on any social media platform that I'm reserving my rights and waiving none. And so because the majority of the humans here, humans are not people. No, they're not. Humans are animals. I teach that truth on different social media platforms that I have, if you're interested in the truth. So check this out. Well, Canada. Oh, it's all about multiculturalism. Wow, really? So individuals are equal before and under the law. They have the right to equal protection and benefit of the law. Wow. I've never experienced that ever. We all have the freedom of conscience. Ooh. We all have the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association, and those rights apparently are guaranteed to all. Well, the Constitution of Canada is a farce, so we're not going to use that. I'm not a citizen of Canada, so I can't use the Citizenship Act. I'm not a human, so I can't use the Canadian Human Rights Act. But there is a very interesting convention that Canada is a party to, and that's the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, which states, once again, that all are equal before the law and entitled to equal protection of the law against discrimination and against any incitement to discrimination. Now, what's interesting about the wording of this act is law has absolutely nothing to do with legal. Nothing. Legal is written by the dead for the dead. The law applies to the living, and it's the law that I have access to, that the criminals who have attacked me and mine have joined themselves to, whether they realize that or not. You've heard of this word called joinder, haven't you? So, and then we have the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which states that, oh, here we go, people, that would be me. I'm one of the peculiar people. Can I prove it? No, fuck, all day long. That's all I got for you. So, this covenant provides that people belonging to ethnic or linguistic minorities shall not be denied the right to enjoy our own culture or to use our own language. So this is why I have to continually make known these conventions that all in Canada have to follow. These are the rules of society. Right, so everything that's about to come out of my mouth is protected speech. Yeah, yes. International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, because there's racism happening in my life, and it's not good, right? My brother prophesied this would happen to me. It's one thing to read it on a page, but it's another thing to have to live this out. Yeah, just because I carry it so well doesn't mean it's not heavy, okay? Right, so just listen to this stuff. It's, oh, fuck. The right to equal treatment before tribunals and all other organs administering justice. Well, not if you're one of the peculiar people. They don't follow any of this. Oh, it gets better. Check this out. The right to security and protection by the state against violence, bodily harm, whether inflicted by government officials or any individual, group, or institution. I have the right, as a woman, to take part in the satanic cult that's trying to pass itself off as government, as well as in the conduct of public affairs at any level, and to have equal access to public service. Geez, the circus monkeys aren't following any of these. Public servants, right? Have you ever dealt with them? They're all blind and they're all deaf, right? It's like talking to a wall. If you're one of the living, because I'm being forced to engage with the dead, right? I'm being forced to engage with a species that isn't my people. The right to inherit, the right to own property alone, the right to freedom of thought and conscience, the right to freedom of expression. Well, I'll tell you what, as one of the peculiar people, I can assure you that we don't have opinions, right? The truth is not an opinion. You're not getting around the truth. It's not an opinion. What the fuck do truth and opinions have to do with each other? Nothing. Nothing. The right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. Okay, so the whole legal witchcraft world is based on, it's an adversarial system. So that's not a peaceful assembly or a peaceful association. Which is why you'll then read, if you are reading, that liars, well, that's what bar members are, right? You're not going to be called to the bar unless you're a compulsive liar. Unless you're a murderer, thief, and destroyer, you will not be called to the barf. There's only one kind called to the barf. Right, so pigs, let's look at that. A pig is a dirty, greedy, a bad-mannered person. A pig is a person in government. Now, persons are things. Yep, they are. You realize that your status has been reduced to a person? Right. Okay, so now that we've set up the boundaries, and I have the ability to now, well, I'm basically going to update what's going on. Because if you're listening and you're watching and you're wondering what's going on, I have had everything stolen from me. Every good gift I've ever been given has been stolen from me. So the beast, and when I say the beast, I'm referring to the government, so the beast can financially enrich itself. And I've been left with nothing. Literally. So let's see what's going on over here. So you know, because I'm not going to stay quiet, right? I can't do that. It's my job to say something. Oh, it gets worse and worse. Look at, anyway, I'm not getting into this right now, but you do need to know that both David Eby and Lana Popham, if that's what that thing is right there, maybe that isn't, that's what it looks, anyway, they both hate me. They've both been informed repeatedly and consistently that there's a problem, and neither of them care. Neither of them care. Yeah, because you realize that it's just, politicians are just propaganda. They have nothing to do with serving the people. They're going to serve themselves to whatever they want that you have, because they all fraudulently believe that they're above the law. So this David Eby, right, knew my house was being stolen, knew the estate was being embezzled, and does not care. These BC NDP criminals pretend that they're against money laundering. Bullshit. They're the ones behind all the money laundering in the province. And I've got some information now that I found that they are literally refusing to prosecute arrogant, immoral Asians laundering money in BC. They were just refusing to prosecute, despite the fact that they spent, I don't know, a year and how much money to figure out that there was money laundering going on. Oh, it's an Asian trade mission. Yeah, here we go. I mean, listen to me. Canada's communist, okay? Canada's communist. Yes, it is. Again, this is not opinion, okay? I do thousands of hours of research. How can they come and steal everything that you own without due process if this is not communist, not a communist country? Because it is. Okay, let's see here. So this is my Twitter account. Okay, so here what we have here is a tweet from a person known as the Black Class Action. So Senate CA is studying anti-Black racism at the Canadian Human Rights Commission. Senator Jaffer called on, I don't know what this thing is, to look into discrimination at the CRA, which is a criminal organization if you don't understand this. So all of the taxes that you pay they're not mandatory, they're voluntary. And that includes your property tax. They cannot prove that it's mandatory for you to pay those taxes because all these taxes are a form of theft. And theft is a crime in Canada, according to the criminal code. But, you know, the savages aren't going to follow any of the laws, right? Because, you know, do as thou wilt is the whole of the law in Canada. And then we've got this other thing here, Meet NMT, claiming, I have observed rampant anti-Black discrimination at the CRA. Okay, so here what you have here is you have some of the blind leading the blind here, and they're going to pretend like they're going to get to the bottom of this. No, they're not. They could care less. Seriously, this is just all propaganda.
So many CRA, since we've started the study, contact me and saying that CRA is the worst. So maybe I recommend you to look at that.
As an elected union representative, I observed rampant
Nobody's
anti-Black
elected. They're all selected. They're all on the same
Canada
team.
Revenue Agency.
So here's my reply, which has gotten 12 interactions. So this is 5 hours ago. So criminals Benjamin Howe and Sandra Dennis, who live in the district known as the City of Victoria, are not going to be collecting rents on stolen Saanich Trust private property on June the 1st. Because the persons acting as the BC sheriffs and the persons acting as the Saanich police, both of those are criminal organizations who hire criminals, who fraudulently believe they're above the law, are commandeered, which means to force, to remove the trespassers immediately. And then I've tagged the BC police chiefs, the Vic PD, and 2 criminals. So now let's take a look at what we have here. Now this is March the 5th, 2023. Removal of implied right of usage and access. Now I delivered these notifications to the stolen property, and yet the trespassers are still there. Not only that, but when I do try to do my job, which I have to do, I am then viciously, violently attacked. by persons acting as the criminal organization Saanich PD. So when you report a crime and you are treated like you are committing a crime, you are ruled by criminals. That's who rules here in BC, criminals. All the politicians are criminals, all the bankers are criminals, all the police are criminals, the RCMP is a criminal organization. They have nothing to do with serving victims of crime. They're there to protect the criminals. So, I mean, I'll read just maybe parts of this. Because it's Halfam Holdings who have known since the end of November 2021 that they're in possession of stolen property. And yet they're being protected. Because, you know, when you're a cursed cockroach, I mean, isn't that the epitome of arrogance, eh? Isn't that the epitome of arrogance? That all these witches are fucking hoove to try to fucking murder me. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. So private or public conveyance in respect to the following: any employee, principal, agent, third-party representative, or any other person acting on behalf of or under the instruction of persons trespassing, Benjamin Howe and Sandra Dennis, they're doing business as Halfam Holdings. You also need to be aware that a 3-letter surname is more than likely Asian. Yeah. And who was my property that was stolen from me passed off to? Asians. So they could launder $750,000 and then pass that stolen land. The stolen land then gets passed off to their buddies who are now using my stolen land to make themselves passive income with a fraudulent mortgage, a fraudulent Scotiabank mortgage. Scotiabank is a criminal organization. CIBC is a criminal organization. They're all RICO. All of them. District of Saanich, the Crown, or any other criminal corporate body, company, howsoever named, and any person performing in the role of police officer who is acting for the corporate district, city, or township police and not acting as a constable for and on behalf of the person acting in the role of, anyway, that thing that could never be royalty, that thing could never be a king, okay? Animals are not royalty. Gotcha? And the people as expressed in the oath of office to serve with fairness, integrity, diligence, and impartiality, upholding fundamental common law rights and according equal respect to all people, that I will, to the best of my power, cause the peace to be kept and preserved and prevail all offenses against people and property. Yet that's what happens every single day. Not only is my peace being disturbed, but more harm, more loss, and more damage is being done to me, a living woman, because of the hatred that these cursed cockroaches have for me because I speak a language they don't understand, which is the truth. Their monkey mind short circuits when I speak to them. They literally become fucking vicious and violent when I speak the truth to these circus monkeys. These profane public servants. Not one of them could shove a straight stick up a dead dog's ass. They're literally fucking useless, just like it's written. Just like it's written, the wicked are useless. And they are. Take a look around. So you persons, Benjamin Howe and Sandra Dennis, doing business as Halfam Holdings, and persons trespassing guilty beyond reasonable doubt of mischief, Criminal Code Section 430. 1, A through D, causing danger to my life, are deemed to have been served this notice with immediate effect. All persons having been informed to leave are now under common law responsibility and obligation to withdraw from the land and fixtures. The land is the land, and the house is the fixture. Forthwith, and failure to do so is not hereafter acting in the execution of your good faith duty and proves guilt of indictable trespasses, with any subsequent levy claimed being invalid, and attracts personal and commercial liability for each person for civil damages, criminal charges, and imprisonment for life. Commandeer, confiscate, hijack, activate, appropriate, You have to administer the circus monkeys because the circus monkeys don't know what to do. Really full of the paperwork. Have you gone in to listen to any of the calls I've made over the last year to these so-called public service agencies? I mean, you're not talking about an intelligent being picking up the phone, okay? It's the same fucking sing-song every time you call one of these idiots, one of these criminal organization, public service agencies. Well, we don't do that here. You have to call so-and-so. And then you call those idiots and you get the same, it's the fucking heathen hamster wheel of fucking go nowhere. So, here it is. Here's Section 430 of the Criminal Code of Canada. A code is not a law. Codes aren't law. None of this shit they write is law. It's all just fucking garbage. But anyway, here it is. Yeah, everyone who commits mischief, who willfully destroys or damages property, renders property dangerous, useless, inoperative, or ineffective, obstructs, interrupts, or interferes with the lawful use, enjoyment, or operation of property, or obstructs, interrupts, or interferes with myself, I'm being a woman, I'm not a person, I'm not a thing, in the lawful use, enjoyment, or operation of property. So they're guilty. I mean, you're fucking guilty. I've got eyes that see and I've got ears that hear. That's what makes us the peculiar people. My brother, Jesus, is a peculiar people. Moses, the prophets in the Old Testament are the peculiar people. We all have Rh negative blood. Go do your research on that. Don't worry, I've done it for you, and I'll teach you all that truth if you want to learn it. Right? We all have the INFJ personality type. We're all empaths. We're all sensitives. And we outrank all of the humans because a human is an animal, right? That's why they're sexed male and female. Contaminated, right? They have monkey DNA running through their veins. Human. Human. Looks like but isn't. That's why their eyes are deaf. Sorry, that's why their eyes are blind and their ears are deaf, right? Like, it just... They're monsters. They're legally defined as monsters for a reason. There's no such thing as coincidence. Everything means something. Okay, so what do we have here? Oh, here's the punishment. So everyone who commits mischief that causes danger to life is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for life. So we've got Benjamin Howe and Sandra Dennis, and all the persons trespassing on the stolen land. The stolen land is located at 604 Prometheus Crescent. Now, when I created this, there was a criminal named Fred Haynes that was pretending to be the mayor of the criminal organization District of Saanich. Now there's somebody else. It's another male. You know, they rotate out the monkeys. They rotate the monkeys out. Yeah, they do. So, and then this Dean Duthie, this thing is pretending to be the chief of the criminal organization Saanich Police Department. Just cockroaches, just cursed cockroaches, like not a hope in hell. No hope and no future. But, hey, listen, when you're an arrogant, immoral abomination, right? Yep. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Just fucking ridiculous. Okay, so that's one of them. And then I go on here, and this is a couple hours ago. Wait a minute here. Hold on here. I'm so sorry. I've missed some of this stuff. I'm so sorry. So yesterday, and we've got 23 looky-loos on here. Right? So for 2 acts of genocide against myself and mine in less than a decade due to systematic racism, hate, and discrimination. And then what I've done is I've tagged them to the depositions that I've written pertaining to some of what I experienced. Now, I have to go and collect. Like, I'm doing forensic investigations into both acts of genocide because that's my job, and I got to get to the bottom of who did what. Because I don't have all the information pertaining to the forced adoption of my biological real property. So this phone works pretty good. Maybe I won't go in there. Anyway, I speak memes, okay? So you have to understand that I'm a targeted woman because of my race, because I'm not from this world, and just like my brother prophesied, I would be hated by the world, right? Like, I'm hated by my same-sex parent. Anyway, everything that's written about the peculiar people in the scriptures is the truth. So if you want to learn about the peculiar people, we're referred to in the scriptures as the righteous. We're referred to in the scriptures as prey, because that's what we are. So, organized gang stalking. So that's what I'm experiencing. Masonic mockers have organized satanic rituals that they try to pass off as court hearings. So what's a mocker? Well, they define, renounce truth and good things, not only to their own detriment and destruction, but to that of others. So that's blasphemy for those of you who don't understand the truth. Blasphemy is unforgivable. Blasphemy is causing harm to your neighbor intentionally. That's what blasphemy actually is. It's written in the book of Numbers, among other places in Scripture. That's what it is. That's what my brother keeps saying, right? Like, do unto others as you've had them do unto you. Because where I come from, it's eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Like, that's the living law. These savages have attached themselves to the living law. Whether they realized it or not, that's not my problem. The scriptures sit on the witness box of every single whorehouse trying to pass itself off as a courtroom in the communist Canada here. Why is it sitting there? You don't believe that's coincidence, do you? You don't believe that it's coincidence that the living law sits on the witness box? It sits there to be a witness for what's happening in that room or against what's happening in that room. They are provokers of others to wrong, strife, and evil. Whoa, fucking great, right? Lovely. Lovely. So, right, get this. This is the BC Lions. Right? Just disgusting. Just fucking disgusting. And this is backed up by these absolute frauds. These are all fraud. Listen, man, government's not doing anything for you. They don't do anything for the people. It's all propaganda. All the social media accounts, all the shit that they write online, all the websites that they have, it's all propaganda. They don't do any of the shit that they have written down there. None of it. Because they're not held accountable. You can't go hold any of these fucking cursed fucking cockroaches accountable in the courtrooms here, because these are not courtrooms. The court's a whorehouse. And there's a bunch of whores pretending to be the court. Humans, right? Egyptians. Not people. So get this. Be more than a bystander. Break the silence on violence against women. Well, there's women and then there's females. There's women and then there's females. I'm a woman. A female brought me into this world. And then that female tried to destroy me, just like my brother said, right? Mother against daughter, daughter against mother. That's exactly my experience here. In BC every year, there are 60,000 physical or sexual assaults committed against women. Almost all of these assaults are committed by men. So the wording here is all wrong, right? So it should say almost all of these assaults are committed by males. You know, beasts. EndingViolenceCanada.org. Oh, fuck, I don't think so. So I was forced into prostitution against my will, conscience, and culture after my interest private property was stolen by application and title fraud. The inheritance embezzled to force me into homelessness and extreme poverty by beasts of Belial, racist reprobates unfit for public service, acting as CIBC, Fulton and Company. That's a criminal organization that has 2 offices in BC, one in Kamloops, one in Vancouver. A criminal organization in Victoria, Cox Taylor, RICO Supreme Court of BC, RICO Victoria Registrar, criminal organization BCNDP, criminal organization District of Saanich. I mean, it just goes on and on. Do you honestly believe that if I was fucking nuts like I've been accused of being, that I could talk to you like this after surviving close to 5 fucking decades of being hated and defamed? 5 fucking decades of being hated and defamed. 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 5 fuc and had everything stolen from me to be left with nothing? Do you honestly believe that if I was what they say that I am, that I could get on here and speak to you like this? Listen, I know the truth, okay? That's why they hate me. That's why they want me gone. But my Father needs a witness to the wickedness of every generation, and that's why he sends down from above the peculiar people. My brother tried to tell everybody when he was here, I'm not from here. I'm from above. What is he talking about? That sounds fucking nuts. Can you imagine if you would have heard that 2,000 years ago? Oh, you're from above. Okay, psycho. No, man, he was trying to tell you, listen, there are nuggets throughout the scriptures. Moses' mom and dad are both Levites. Jesus' mom, Mary, she's from the Levite tribe. John the Baptist, his mom is a Levite. The child is the mother. The child is the mother. Yes. BC Lions want you to speak up. So if you're speaking up, how the fuck can there be 60,000 physical and sexual assaults every year? If the status of women, if this satanic cult British Columbia and this Ending Violence Association of BC, if they're actually doing what they're claiming to do, those numbers wouldn't be like that. This is all propaganda. All of it. It's just bullshit. So I'm a foreigner. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not from here, so when I have to access justice, I have to I have to edit the forms that they have when you go into court. So Form 77 is the form that you use to register a foreign judgment. Yeah. So that's what this is about here. Right? This is a foreign judgment against the province of British Columbia. And then there's another one against the CIBC. Well, I know what justice is. The scriptures tell you that the peculiar people know exactly what justice is. Anything and everything outside of eye for eye and tooth for tooth is witchcraft. It's not justice at all, and it never brings healing for the victim. Well, should we take a look here? Let's see how this appliance works. Because some of these depositions that I've written, they're quite lengthy, but only because I notice everything. I notice everything. I notice things that the world will never notice, right? Because I have eyes that see. So it's downloading because it's 69 pages. So in March of 2009, my biological real property was kidnapped. Discovered to be almost immediately highly marketable. And those are, that's the property that never goes home. That's the property that gets sold to perverts here in Canada, because that's where they're selling them. So the cheapest and easiest place to get biological real property is from the child traffickers who are pretending to be government child protection and family court. So I wrote down just some of my experience, right? So you have to realize that when you go through the legal rules, they've taken their witchcraft from the living law, and then they twist it, turn it, make it crooked and gross, and try to pass it off as, society. But in the living law, kidnappers are put to death because it's defined as genocide. Forced adoption. Forced adoption is legally defined as genocide because it is. Listen to me. My life was over. I'm going to do everything in my power not to get emotional because I do not want you to be uncomfortable. Because you're listening, and I don't want you to be uncomfortable. I want you to be able to listen to me. Because it's so important that you listen. It's so important that you listen and you hear what I'm saying to you. Because this doesn't affect me, it affects you too. Yes, it does. You can't allow this kind of evil to get out of control like this. Because the world doesn't know my father. But you don't want to make him mad. You just don't. And so anyway, I post these in the description box a lot of times of the uploads. Because, I mean, I have to explain the kind of hatred and discrimination, racism that's destroyed my life. And so that's why this forced adoptionist murder document is attached to that tweet. Okay, let's look at this one now. This one would be about the second act of genocide that's befallen me in the last 10 years. Now, you can't steal and trust property. You can't touch an inheritance in Canada, except if it's me. Except if it's me. There's just a different set of rules for me altogether, right? Because of who I am. Yeah, I'm not kidding you, right? So this is 67 pages. And my native language are the scriptures. Like, that's how I stay alive. That's how I know why this has all happened to me, and this is how I know what's going to happen to them now. Right? This is what keeps me steady. This is what keeps me from completely fucking losing my mind. Because all this is being done to me to make me lose my mind. Yeah, it's crazy making behavior. Children of the devil are sick, right? So they're creatures of chaos. That's all they can produce is chaos. So that's why this document, and then, so what's interesting is the world will actually back up what I'm telling you. The world will back up what I'm telling you. So that's what I have to do, right? I know the truth, and then I have to go into the world and look for the world's information to try to communicate with those of the world. That's what I have to do. I have an obligation to say something because I'm worried about other widows in Canada that this is about to happen to. Now I can hold up under this. I've been homeless and destitute for over 3 years now. What about the ones who don't understand why this is happening to them, right? That's why I have to say something. I have to open my mouth and speak the truth, whether they listen or not. It's not my problem. I still have to say something. I have to. Otherwise, I'm complicit in all of this, and I can't. So there's absolutely tons and tons and tons of proof to back up what I'm saying. There's $100 million in fraudulent mortgages in Canada. So is the bank that you're using involved in this? Because if it is, you're guilty too. Are you a shareholder in any of these criminal organizations trying to pass themselves off as banks? I certainly hope not. I certainly hope not, because Micah and Isaiah are both crystal clear about what's going on here. Financial Post. The top facilitators of laundering money are lawyers. Sorry, they're not even lawyers. They're witches. They're racketeers and real estate agents. But they've come for my land and the fixture to facilitate money laundering and for these savages to make all this income, all this profit by racketeering, by committing crime. That's how they've made all this money that they've made. But then when I say something and I try to get some help to undo, because everything has to be walked backward. All of this has to be walked backward, right? Everything that was done has to be undone. But I'm the liar? I'm the liar. So they're calling Financial Post a liar. They're calling Comfort Life a liar. So are you telling me that all these reporters are lying too? Because where's all this information coming from? Real estate agents are zero talented liars that contribute nothing to society. That's the truth. That's just the full-on truth. And your opinion is irrelevant when the truth has been spoken. They really are fucking idiots. They're leeches. They have no value at all. They make money doing paperwork, basically. Yeah. Right, so 3 types of real estate fraud to be on the lookout for, right? Money laundering and real estate transactions. Okay, well, yeah, right. I mean, do you have any idea how much energy and effort it takes for me to write all this down? Because you realize I'm reliving this, don't you? You know how traumatic that is? How traumatizing that is? Because every time I have to now write my experience down, I'm now re-traumatized by what's already gone down. And then I send all this information out and it's the fucking crickets I get back, right? You know, it's like talking to a dog and their fucking head turns to the left and the right. It's like, You know, humans are animals. They are. Humans are animals. Creatures. Right, so there's absolutely no doubt what's gone on here with that property. That property was passed off to a couple of Asians who need to launder $750,000, and that's exactly what they did. And then they sold it to their Asian buddies, and now they're using that stolen property to make themselves passive income, renting it out. So that's why the real estate prices in BC are fucking ridiculous. They're criminal. Because according to the BC NDP and according to the BC court, the persons who pretend to be all these criminal organizations, only Asians are allowed to own property in BC. Yeah. No shit. Well, this is proof, okay? This is proof. So here's one of the criminals who decided to aid and abet this. Anyway, I'll post this in the description box. You can take a look at it if you are so inclined to be interested in the truth. And then we have Instagram. Let's go over here and see what's happening on Instagram. Yeah, I'm not going to be quiet about this. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't just let you get away with all this ugly. These are not coming up. That's scary. That one's not coming up either. That's even scarier. So then I tweet again and I said, you're going to listen to the hate and the violence that I face from the criminals who act as the Saanich PD. And then I've got 5 of the vicious, violent assaults I've experienced because I said something. So your rights supersede all acts and statutes. That's right, they do. So all statutory legislation is enforced by consent, fraud, coercion, or extortion. All statutory acts are invalid due to lack of consideration of contract. All licenses, permits, and registrations are voidable if consideration and full disclosure was not offered. All loans and mortgages are invalid and the liability of the issuer if the contract has only one signature. Have you ever looked at your mortgage? You notice how none of the savages acting as the bank signed that thing? Because they're not loaning you anything. And then they charge you interest. So blood's important because life is in the blood. So there's Rh negative blood and Rh positive blood. Rh negative blood is about 6% of the population. So the Rh positives, they're contaminants, right? They're the Canaanites. They're not people. They're creatures. That's why they would never have the capacity, right, for the virtues of the peculiar people. And the virtues of the peculiar people are counsel, like sound counsel. Well, fear of the living law, right? You got to understand that it works the same for the righteous and the wicked. Knowledge, strength, and might, truth, understanding, and wisdom are virtues that can never be possessed by the human. No. That's why the King of Kings is so unglued by their arrogance. Unglued because, you're blind. You're blind and you're deaf. You're creatures. So for you to continue to act in a matter of arrogance is just, well, it's disgusting, isn't it? So, during 16 days of activism in 2021, after iWoman reported acts of hate, racism, genocide to vile Saanich pigs, I faced and continue to face satanic ritual abuse, torture, terrorism, trauma, criminal harassment, cruel and unusual treatment, fraud. At hellbound hooves of human monsters, mindless Masonic maggots. Yeah, they're Freemasons. Oh, look here. Here's one of the criminals here who's kept me off my property for another 18 months. Because you know these RICO banks have to make money, right? So they've chosen death, right? Because if you're all about the mammon, then you've chosen death. That's why my brother would say something like, well, you can't serve two masters. Because there's only two choices to make. You're serving life or you're serving death. And if you're serving mammon, then you're serving death. Yes. So Canada doesn't serve anything other than generating revenue. That's all they're about, right? They're all about making, because it's all about the mammon. It's all about the lie. It's all about death. So this creep was on Twitter. Oh, yeah, trying to pretend like it's something it's not, right? Just listen to this is all propaganda that they write on their Twitter accounts. The social media accounts are all just garbage. Oh, look at this. We're committed to our community and continue to provide the highest levels of professional service that helps all people feel safe. Oh, you are such a liar. Well, I don't feel safe at all. I don't. I'm literally in fear for my life every day. Do you have any idea what it's like to live in fight or flight mode for like 5 decades? I do. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. My full-time job is just trying to take care of myself, and then I've got a David and Goliath fight on my hands on top of that. You degenerate demon, compulsive lying, woman-hating, racist piece of useless shit are behind each intimidation, torture, violent assault on me to keep me off my stolen property, proving you lie. You refuse to uphold your obligation, duty, and responsibility to victims of crime. Can I be any more direct than that? And then we went through and we read this one here. So here's the problem, right? I, woman, am conducting a forensic investigation into the theft of the interest, private property, and the estate embezzlement. So I have to lawfully seize all the correspondence, and like now, from the guilty persons. Let's see if these ones will open up. Fuck, this is scary that those links aren't opening up. So let's take a look here what we've got. So FINTRAC, right? So real estate agents. There's a number of persons who have to report large cash transactions to this so-called public service called FINTRAC, who wants to find out, where all the money is going and who's got it and how'd you get it and what's going on with it. So banks have to report, casinos have to report, real estate agents have to report. So did they? Because this whole entire fucking thing is about money laundering. So criminals acting as BC real estate agents involved in the theft of interest, private property to facilitate money laundering and mortgage fraud are obligated to fill out and submit this form to FINTRAC. I, woman, the victim, therefore the special prosecutor, require these documents. Now, if you understand the living law, the victim of the crime is the prosecutor, because you have to have first-hand knowledge of the crime. Which is why all these savages acting as attorney generals are just nothing but a joke. Nothing but a joke. So what's meant by a forensic investigation? A forensic investigation is an investigation that involves some form of scientific method or other skill. Well, my skills are that I have eyes that see and ears that hear. And believe me, that's a skill. Yeah. Or valuation expertise. Well, right, that's me. And looks retrospectively to make a determination about something that happened in the past. So these acts of genocide are in the past. So I'm the woman who has to go through all the documents because it's my obligation and duty to do so. So private prosecutions in Canada. So you realize, right, that these so-called public servants, they have no powers beyond those of anyone else. Anyone who's the victim of a crime can prosecute. So let's go over here now and see what's happening on Instagram. So because I couldn't get those links to open up, and it's really important that you see what's happening here. Okay, so here we over here on Instagram, where I am exposing the criminals for who they are. So let's take a look at who did this to me. Because everyone, all the persons responsible are going to be held responsible in their personal capacity. That's the law. Right? So right of claim and notice. So be aware you reading this notice are intentionally causing myself harm. So the closest thing to a common law court that they have in the Rico province of BC here would be your small claims court. And you can make claim for up to $35,000. So I, woman known as Victoria, is being willingly, intentionally, and knowingly caused irreparable harm, loss, and injury as the person, the estate of my spouse, by immoral agents of Fulton and Company. As such, claims on behalf of I, woman, and the person, because the person can sue, right? That estate can sue. It's a person. It has the capacity to sue for loss, harm, and injury. And I am the controller. I'm the power of attorney for that person. The lawful, authorized agent for that person. So I have to explain to them that I, woman, file $35,000 claim against each guilty party for the civil torts. Civil torts, right? And then there's another $35,000 claim for the criminal trespasses. Now, if you've ever gone through the Criminal Code of Canada, you're going to notice that there are fines leveled against the criminal for the crimes they've committed. But that fine doesn't go to pay the victim of the crime. That fine goes to enrich the beast, which is just the sickest form of witchcraft you've ever... Well, I don't know how you let that go on. I personally don't know how anybody in their right mind would allow that to go on, especially if they're a victim of crime. Because that's just fucking the sickest thing I have ever fucking seen or heard. So that means there's like $140,000 due and payable by each guilty person. And who are they? Oh, look at here. I didn't need to see this thing to know what it was, because this thing has its name on a number of the instruments used to commit genocide against me and my family. Yes, proven guilty of genocide beyond reasonable doubt. Curse Kamloops, BC criminal. Yep. Aids and abets in trust private property, real estate theft for RICO CIBC to facilitate money laundering and RICO Scotiabank mortgage fraud. This is the face of a criminal. This is the face of a perjurer who actually believes it's above the law. Wow, talk about mentally ill, eh? Oh, look at here's its name here on an affidavit. Now, you understand what an affidavit is, right? An affidavit has to be the truth. It has to be. Otherwise, what are you doing? Oh, and this thing, this female thing named Linda Bavis, that thing works for the criminal organization CIBC. It lied its face off so they could steal and trust private property to facilitate mortgage fraud and money laundering. Legal basis. Hilarious. You don't even have you have no fucking jurisdiction. You have no fucking standing in this matter. But you're going to come and steal everything, aren't you, you sick fucks? Oh, look at this thing. Isn't it cute? Same thing. $140,000 due and payable for what you've done to me and my family, and how are you going to pay? Because if you can't come up with that kind of money to pay for what you've done, then you have to go through the forfeiture process. And your property will be seized. And now what I had to inform these monsters of is that their spouses or their husbands or wives or whatever they got going on there, they're also tagged. Because what these savages do is they put everything that they own into the name of their partner or their spouse or their husband or their wife, so they can never be held accountable for the loss, harm, and injury that they cause. So they said that I was responsible for a debt I didn't owe because they decided that my spouse and I were one. So that's exactly how these savages are going to all be treated. Oh, look at here. We've got proof of application and title fraud committed by Demon Daniel Carroll and mindless maggot Graham Mack. Oh, look at this. Person to be registered as charge owner. They can't own anything. CIBC can't own land. No, they can't. This is all witchcraft. It's all fraud. Oh, and they have faces, eh? Here's Graham Mack and here's Hal Hicks. So who are BARF members? Okay, so Earl Warren, an apparent Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, dude's a little off. So in my experience, it's about 98 to 99% of all BARF members are either incompetent, dishonest, or both. Don't you ever go talk to a member of the BARF until you know what you're talking about. Because they will lie to you all day long to steal from you. That's all they're about. They're racketeers. They're racketeers. The Law Society said liars are to lie to the bench of bullshit on behalf of their client, right? So how are you ever going to get justice that way? How are you going to get justice that way? You allow this to go on? Really? You allow this to go on? Wow. Well, it's called vicarious liability. It's called vicarious liability. Have you ever heard of that term before? Vicarious liability? Even if you don't cause the harm, loss, or damage, if you are attached to the one who did, in any way, shape, fashion, or form, you are responsible in the same manner they are. And I have to ask, what is this thing doing with its hand on its tie knot? Is that some sort of signal? Is that some sort of call sign? Is that like a brotherhood thing? Yeah, these are all partners in criminal organization, Fulton and Company. Repugnant racketeers, and here's some more. Wow. Are you for real? Seriously? Here's some more. Vicariously liable persons. You're not getting out of this. You're so not getting out of this. Oh, and here's another one. And let's look at some of the rules in the Canadian Victims' Bill of Rights. The Act received royal assent on April 23rd, 2015 under the Harper Coven. Begins with preamble. Victims of crime and their families deserve to be treated with courtesy, compassion, and respect, including respect for their dignity. Have I ever been afforded any of that? Never. Not once. So let's look and see what the truth has to say about this whole thing. Because every single one of these fucking cursed cockroaches has their name and their life recorded in the scriptures. Every single one of them. And I'm either a witness for you or I'm a witness against you. No, I'm a witness against every single one of these human monsters. So Micah 2:2, have you ever read that prophecy? When they want fields, when they want land, they seize it. When they want a house, they just take it. No one's family or property is safe. That includes you listening and everyone you know. Because if they did this to me, don't think that they can't come and do it to you. Because there's no accountability for them, right? They're above the law. Micah 6:12. The savages among you have become wealthy through extortion and violence. Yeah, taxes are extortion. Interest on a loan is extortion. Because they're not loaning you anything. The bank is not permitted to loan its own assets. It's against the banking rules. When you go in there for a loan, they buy an insurance policy on that loan, whether it's secured or unsecured. The bank is like the casino. The house always wins. They risk nothing because they loan nothing. It's a win-win for them. Every time. So your citizens are so used to lying that their tongues can no longer tell the truth. Well, there it is, folks, the truth. Read it and weep, eh? Let's see, what else is going on here? Well, I'm getting actually pretty good at some of this stuff. Let's see.
On up to your bullshit. Yeah, it's about that time. Damn, don't you look foolish? Cause you know, I know, you lying.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. That's exactly what's happening here. So this is how we know who my people are and who the wicked are. If you can't do what's right, thank you for identifying yourself, right? So evildoers don't understand justice, but those who seek the truth, oh, we definitely know what it is. And that's what I'm down here to make sure happens. I'm down here to make sure the will of my Father takes place. That's my job. That's what I'm ordained and trained to do. Nope, justice is not blind because I'm her eyes. Yeah, I'm not even kidding you. So check this out. In the fall of 2022, there's a $1 billion class action suit leveled against the Manitoba Coven and the Coven acting as the Attorney General of Canada. But this has happened to me and my family, and we will never be relieved or receive reparations? Fucking bullshit. Fucking bullshit. Oh, look. Look at this. Communist Canada. Awards. I think it's actually more than that now. I think it's up to 23 billion. For kids. Right, for the kids who are apparently removed from this one particular group. So my son, my biological real property is removed in 2009. So that fits into this time frame. But I've been told by a coven of witches who act as the BC Attorney Generals and who act as the BC Supreme Court that I don't deserve justice. So one of the sort of experiences that I'm having here, which helps me to relate to my Father, the one who sent me here, is that when you hurt one of his, well, you're finished. Because they came for mine. And I understand fully and completely the rage and the wrath and the vengeance that creates in a living man or a living woman, because I'm living it out. So I understand the wrath and the rage and the vengeance of my Father against these cursed cockroaches, these chaotic creatures of compulsive lying who've come for me and mine. If you fuck with my child, I'm coming for you, and hell is coming with me. Am I threatening anybody? No, that's a promise. That's a fucking promise. And I don't care how long it takes. The living law will be leveled against every witch responsible for harming my baby. You had no case. You didn't have a case the first time, and you didn't have a case the second time. Listen, satanic savages, I outrank you. I fucking outrank you all day, every day. I'm a woman and you're a fucking creature. So I have dominion over you. I have dominion over you. I tell you what to do. My brother mentioned that when he was here 2,000 years ago. All authority's been given to me. Right, because we're from above. So what comes from above outranks everything below. That's why when you go into the fucking, the beast of bullshit courts here, that cursed creature is looking down on you. Because even these fucking savages have, like, you know, a real shallow level of understanding of how it works. The death penalty is too lenient for crimes gang stalkers commit. Targeted individuals are tortured endlessly, both physically and psychologically, and our whole lives destroyed. None of us will ever recover from the horrific traumas we have been through. That is the truth. That's the truth. Money laundering. This is all about money laundering. The serious consequences for failing to comply. Right? So this thing calling itself FinTrack, it apparently has the capacity to lay criminal charges and fines of up to $500,000. Yeah, I'd like to fucking see that. Oh, here we go. Well, one of the covens involved in stealing my home and torturing me is this Jones Co Realty in Victoria here. And these are two of the owners, that are involved in this act of genocide so they could enrich themselves. So this is Better Dwelling. Better Dwelling does excellent work. I actually need to email them and thank them. They do just absolutely fabulous work. And these are the folks who are confirming that what I'm telling you is the truth. How a little money laundering can have a big impact on real estate prices. So if you can't afford to get into a property, this would be why. So, faces. Here we go. Look at these. These are two cursed creatures here. Both knowing full well what they're doing, don't care. Because they're going to make a whole bunch of money doing nothing. And here I am on November the 17th, before the satanic rituals begin. And what I mean by that is the showings. The showings. Right, so I'm letting them know that every person fraudulently attempting to sell or buy this domicile has to be provided with full disclosure of the indictable crimes they're going to be committing. Because you can't steal that land. You can't steal it. You don't have any standing, right? You don't have any jurisdiction here. But they don't care because they know that you don't care. They know the world doesn't care. Yeah. So look at all this stuff about money laundering, right? Do they follow any of it? No. Anyway, I write all this. This is my research. Criminal. Pervert. Danger to the public. So here's some very important information that you need to hear. Like, seriously. So what does the term esquire mean? So the word esquire can be traced back to Latin, right? The language of the dead, Latin. The language of Satan, Latin, which means shield bearer. The term is originally used to draw a distinction between the slaves and those who are free. By the Middle Ages, this, whatever this is, had given rise to the French word esquire. It's a title of dignity to describe a person above a gentleman and below a knight. Esquire became an umbrella term for holders of various poisonous offices like Justice of the Peace, sheriffs, sergeants, blah, 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 fucking blah. Can you believe that? So here's what I have to say about this whole shit show. Do you see worldwide barf members among other public servant flying monkeys listed in paragraph 2 believe they are free monsters on the land or sovereign citizens? And you the shield maker, you're their slave, you're their property to do with whatever these satanic savages want, including stealing everything you lawfully own. Because these witches falsely believe that they're above the law. And they are, right? Are any of these creatures who pretending to be justices in Canada ever prosecuted for the crimes they commit against their neighbors? Never. Ever, ever. Once I've seen one. Back east. Apparently it's something to do with the death of its wife. Apparently it's in jail. So this is referring to a case out of 2012 from Alberta, Meads versus Meads. You might have heard of it. You might have heard of this. So I found this. I was doing some research. This is from UK Human Rights blog, and then of course, I had to add the truth to the lies, didn't I? That's my job. Freemen on the land are parasites peddling pseudo-legal nonsense. Canadian liar fights back, right? The epitome of hypocrisy, the pot calling the kettle black of the typical cursed communist corrupt Canadian court whore, male beast of Belial, lewd liar whose arrogant, immoral, abomination opinion is completely irrelevant, as it is these wicked monsters called to the bar, fraudulently posing as the court whore, in truth the profane, poisonous parasites peddling pseudo-legal nonsense. They don't work for you. They don't work for you. The courts are private for-profit criminal organizations. They don't even follow their own rules. They don't have to. There are no rules for these satanic savages. They're above the rules. Don't get me started. Don't. Do not. Yep. The cursed Canadians have fallen prey to organized crime in your judiciary. These covens eliminate jury trials and just do whatever they want because they know that no one's going to do anything about it. Anyway, the birth certificate, I could teach hours on that thing. Right? So the all capital name, that's not me. That's a corporation created by these two covens of pedophiles who then turned me, a living woman, into an estate. That's why that name there is in all capital letters, like I'm dead. That's basically a death certificate here. And so that's how they get control over you, and that's how they get control over everything that you have. That's how. That's exactly how they do it. Yes, the crown owns your name. Fucking rights it does. And they join you, the living, if you are one of the living, to what's dead, which is your name, which is that name. That's how they get jurisdiction, or that's how they believe that they get jurisdiction. Hiring any liar waives constitutional protections, makes humans wards of the court with unsound mind. Can you imagine that those who are creatures, who actually do have unsound mind, are accusing you, if you are, in your right mind, of being what they are, right? It's hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Because you have to understand the level of evil that's going on here, right? So what's going on here? Well, the Chinese Communist Party owns British Columbia. The CCP has been going around in the Commonwealth countries and buying up different public service agencies that aren't really public service agencies at all. These are all private for-profit criminal organizations. So I go and I find out all this information and then how it relates to my situation. And then I have to expose it because that's my job, right? I have to bring what they want to keep in the dark out into the light. Because the cockroaches don't like the light, right? The cursed cockroaches don't like the light. They run and hide from it. That's why they hate me. That's why they want me dead. In fact, I'm not even joking. If these Saanich pigs or these Victoria pigs get me and take me, they're going to murder me. That's the agenda. That's what they want to do to me. And then they're going to say, this is the lie that they're going to tell, that I died of medical distress and custody. No, they've murdered me to shut me up, right? Because I'm going to regain back everything that they stole from me. Everything. All of it. And I'm going to be paid for what they've done to me and my family. And please understand, we know what has value. This isn't about the money. No, fuck no. This is about sending a fucking message that if you're going to pull fucking stunts like that, you are going to be fucking destroyed on every level. On every level. And since you're the fuckheads that worship the mammon, you're the ones who worship the death, that's what I'm coming for. That's what I'm coming for. I'm going to come for your idol. I'm going to come for your fucking idol. Right? You adulterers. You filthy fucking freaks. So they're running a global network of drug trafficking, money laundering, and trafficking. It's worth billions of dollars in Canada alone. Well, that's why they came for my property. That's why they came for that property. So I'm still a liar, am I? Are you seeing this yet? Are you? Because it matters. You stand up for what's right, no matter who's doing the wrong. Even if this costs me my life here, I don't belong here anyway. I still have an obligation, duty, and responsibility to say something. Because silence is consent. And I don't consent. Oh, we love Chinese money. So this is from a YouTube channel China Unscripted, and they're the ones who are pointing this out. Here's somebody wrote a book. Somebody wrote a book. Communist Patsy of Canada, Channeling Castro. So Canada and Australia are the malicious monarch's private estate. So that's why you can't own anything here, right? Because this sick fucking coven of pedophiles believes falsely that it's their private estate. Okay, so CIBC is one of the worst propaganda machines I've ever run across. Everything that they say that they do is an out-and-out fucking lie. Everything. This is all propaganda. All propaganda written by this criminal, this male monster. The Doodig. The Victor Doodig. Yeah, it's a fucking Doodig, all right. Oh, what do we have here? The CIBC is a registered body in Australia. Really? Did you know that the Bank of Montreal is owned by China? Well, now you do. CIBC is a criminal organ. Yes, it is, actually. Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, here's a court summary sheet from a satanic ritual that was run on me on January the 28th, 2020, when I went into the whorehouse and I said, you're stealing that land and you can't do that. Oh, yes, we can. And not only are we going to do that, now that you've said something, we're going to fucking embezzle the entire fucking estate. So this dirty dog, this fucking demon, Daniel the Cursed Cockroach Carroll, can steal $100,000 for their criminal pals at CIBC that they're not owed. You can't steal from an inheritance. You can't steal from beneficiaries in Canada, and that's exactly what they did. And I've got proof. So I go in there and I'm like, okay, so you're not doing this and now this is what you're going to be doing. And they're like, yeah, no, deny. We deny the truth. We deny the law. We even fucking deny our own legal rules because we hate you and we're going to murder you. We're going to force you into prostitution. We're going to force you to commit acts of bestiality with these fucking beasts, these male beasts. We're going to infect your body with fucking disgusting infections and blow a window out of your car. Because you were smart enough to save the condom from the rape. How do you like them apples? So how do you think I'm talking to you like this after going through all that? If I'm what they say I am. So their fucking claim to fame and they don't have a case on you and they really can't figure you out is that you're mentally ill. The mentally ill are calling you mentally ill. That's rich, eh? If I could talk about the epitome of immoral arrogance. Moral, arrogant abominations is what I deal with, right? Mass O'Hara, what a puke. Okay, well, this thing here, this Kirsten Martin, is known since the end of November 2021 that it's involved itself in criminal activity. Benjamin Howe and Senator Dennis are both well aware that they are in possession of stolen property, and they're just more than happy to continue to collect passive income using my stolen property. And no one's going to do a fucking thing about it. No, we're just going to let this continue on. Because all these fucking poisonous parasites who pretend to be public servants are all fucking useless. Every single fucking one of them. I'm not even kidding you. That's not me, that's the scripture. Go read the scripture. Go look up the wicked are useless. Well, never mind. I probably did it for you somewhere and I posted it somewhere. So this is a criminal here, and Coldwell Banker is a criminal organization. Sorry, that's the truth. You got a problem with that? So did Kirsten Martin here report the suspicious transaction of the first two Asians who were in possession of that stolen property and then they passed it off to their criminal pals? Of course she didn't. They don't fucking care. They could care less what they're doing. Oh, it was Fraud Prevention Month a while ago. Yeah, this is all propaganda taken from the satanic cult trying to pass itself off as Canada. This is all bullshit. They don't fucking follow any of this. Oh, yeah, I was saying something about, well, they don't give enough resources to the poor here in BC. So I was speaking up because that's my job. I have to. So they cut me off. So then I had to fucking go ham on those savages. Yeah, yeah. A ministry. Really? So that's what these criminal organizations call themselves. They try to pass themselves off as ministries. Well, a ministry constitutes a religious organ. So what religion is the foundation of the BC government? Service Corporation, Public Service Agency of proven social destruction and poverty development, because all the time on social media I am seeing those who are on this service are not receiving enough to get by on. They don't care. Right? So I'm not the only one, right? Like, what the fuck? So I had to correct my status. So that's what this is. Notice of understanding and intent and claim of right. Because they have flipped you, a living being, into something that's dead, that's how they get jurisdiction over you, because the dead only have jurisdiction over the dead. And all the public servants and all the BARF members are dead. So they only have standing and jurisdiction with their own kind. Like a human only has jurisdiction over its own kind, right? Creature against creature. I'm a woman. I have dominion here. You know, I'm from above, right? So who's telling who what to do? Who the fuck is telling who what to do here? So that's why this is written. This is why I had to let them know that I don't know what you're talking about. You have no jurisdiction here. You're the fucking dead and I'm the living. That's why you're blind and your ears are deaf, because you're dead, right? You're a fucking circus monkey. That's basically all you are. Right, so we have no contract. I'm not a Canadian citizen. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You cannot come and fucking steal everything I've been gifted. You're not even fucking following your own rules. Until then I let them know. You got 2 weeks. If you got something to say about this new contract, you let me know. Well, there was silence, and silence in the legal world is acquiescence. Yeah, I'm afraid so. When you attack me, you join yourself to the living law. And I'm not permitted to have an opinion in matters of law and justice. It's eye for eye, tooth for tooth. What you do to me, I'm going to do to you. I'm afraid that's right. I have that right here. I have that right here. So proof beyond reasonable doubt, security interest, real estate, the land, it's actually not real estate, it's land, is owned by a private membership association, a foreign, what did I name that? Foreign estate non-statutory instrument the Gerald Wayne Jack Daly Trust created in January of 2016, stolen by fraud, now taken over forthwith in full claim of right by designated irrevocable power of attorney, a allodial title holder, King's Counsel Special Prosecutor, and appointed authorized agent for the King's Throne. Common Law High Court, living woman. And that's what they stole from me. That's the security they stole from me. So they could, well, murder attempt, right? Conspiracy to commit murder. That's what they're all guilty of. I guess they figured they can shake me. Well, fuck, good luck with that, bitches. It ain't gonna happen. And when I say bitch, I mean witch. It's the same thing. Property taxes are voluntary, not mandatory. And a trust makes it crystal clear. The property taxes are, no. Right, so here's the person. This is a person. Yes, this is a person. This last will and testament is a person. Yep, it is. So I am living woman, right? I'm a living woman. I'm not a fiction. I can't join myself to witchcraft or the world of the witch. I'm not an artificial person, subject to governance by toxic tyrants. The dead don't govern the living. Never fucking have, never fucking will. So a private membership association, sealed, foreign estate non-statutory instrument. So this is a trust destroying all third-party claims. So how was trust property robbed by force and by fraud by Rico Bisa Bilal, CABC, and BARF members? How did that happen? Why don't you explain it to me then? Why don't you explain it to me? Because I know exactly what this is. Oh, look at this. Yes, yes, yes. Here we have an instrument. This was the satanic ritual abuse judgment that came out of the mouth of a witch known as Suzanne Wishart. You never had jurisdiction, lost jurisdiction a number of times. I saw that witch in a case conference. You were not to see the witch again in the hearing, and there the witch was. So they don't even follow their own fucking rules. And because my son was perfect, because he was highly marketable, because he's mine, okay? They sell them to perverts here in Canada. Yes, they fucking do. Yes, they do. So then, of course, listen to me. So this is sealed on January the 6th, 2020. You realize, right, that at this time, they're coming for the land, and they're coming for the fixture. And I have to try to stop them. So this was my attempt to try to stop this. I had to do something to try to save my own life. That's my obligation, duty, and responsibility to stop the crimes that are being committed against me. So that's why this looks like this. You're in every right to file a claim like this. And what I need you to notice is our surnames are in boxes. Do you know why our surnames are in boxes? Because that removes the jurisdiction of the coven of witches, pretending to be not only the coven acting as the BC Attorney Generals, but the coven acting as the court. And every single person listed here is guilty. I would never slander or defame anyone. I am not permitted to do that. I have been granted an office where I have to be blameless. To be an ambassador for the King of Kings. To be a preacher and a teacher of the gospel of the kingdom of heaven, I have to be blameless. I would never accuse or slander or defame anyone or anything. That is not who I am. That is not what I do. So you can be guaranteed that every single person and every single thing listed here is guilty of causing me and mine loss, harm, and injury, criminally and civilly. So this is why I paid for service. I paid $200 to receive service, and I got fucked up my ass by a coven of witches. Yes, that's what happened to me. So they just continued on with the fucking crimes. They just continued on doing what they were doing. And those who show no mercy are the same motherfuckers who are going to be shown none. You get me? It's eye for eye, tooth for tooth, and I'm going to come at you like you came at me, and I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop until law and justice is served on your ass. You fuck faces, you invited yourselves into my life. You're not now going to fucking bitch and complain about circumstances you sick motherfuckers created. I don't fucking think so. Pigs, pukes, and dogs. That's what you are. That's what you are. Pigs, pukes, and dogs. Yes, you are. Afraid so. Oh, looky here. So February the 11th, the satanic ritual is complete, and I am told that I am vexatious, frivolous, without merit, scandalous, when in truth it's the coven. Right, so the arrogant abomination opinion of a heenan corrupt court whore, Book. Master? That's Masonic. That's Masonic. A master? Master Mason? They're all members of fucking Freemasonry or the Eastern Star. You gotta be, or you don't get to be a part of the coven. And do you know what I want you to notice here, because I'm a woman with eyes that see and ears that hear. They expected me not to be there that day. They expected me not to call back and to not have this hearing completed, because I'm about to literally destroy the lives of every single one of the fucking witches listed on this fucking act of genocide. So who we got here? Oh, we got repugnant reprobate Rebecca the Witch Watmot. And we've got the going to be completely destroyed, defamed, disbarred, jerk off Johnny the Vile Van Camp. Counsel for the Attorney General. Oh, pukes, I don't think so. And look, they've look at this. And no one appearing on behalf of the plaintiffs. Yeah. They had this all written up, all ready to go. Before the hearing's even finished, this is already ordered. That the whole thing is struck in its entirety. Because we're a coven of fucking Satan, serving Satan, worshiping fucking witches. That's what we do. That's what we are. They're not going to let me move anything forward. The action's dismissed. And I have to pay these pigs, pukes, and dogs $500 for fucking raping me and denying my right to access justice. You think I'm going to let that lie? I don't fucking think so. Oh, you have fucked with the wrong woman. I don't give a fuck who you think you are or what you think you are. I know what you are. I know exactly what you are, and I'm coming for you. You have no jurisdiction. I'm a foreigner, and I file foreign judgments pertaining to both criminal and civil matters. And I follow the living law because I'm not permitted to be a witch practicing witchcraft, which is all things legal, by the way. All things legal are created by the witch for the witch. All things legal are created by the dead for the dead. And I'm one of the living. The dead came for one of the living. Big fucking mistake. So, this is what I have to say, because I have the right to respond. Oh, you fucking better believe I do. This order to commit fraud, injustice, and genocide is quashed in its entirety, as named dead demons have no jurisdiction in a common law claim to make the victims whole forthwith. Denied inalienable right to access to justice by compulsive, lying, crooked, cursed, contaminated creatures guilty of aiding and abetting genocide, fraud, racism, discrimination, rape, attempted murder, and everything else that you did to me. Guilty beyond reasonable doubt of aiding and abetting genocide and mischief causing danger to my life, heathen human horse, and self-identified witches, Book, Mac, Watmot, Van Camp, and Victoria Registrar Satanist. Because this is now signed by some Satanist who's pretending to be the registrar. All of them criminals. So here's some information about Rh negative blood. Yeah, we're different. INFJ information as well, because again, we're different. And yes, I can explain exactly who I am. I have to. I have to learn how to communicate in the world's language. And the world is the one who identifies me with its own information. The world will tell you who I am. We're on a different level completely, the peculiar people. Do you understand that? We're on a completely different level, and we do not swim in shallow waters, okay? I know exactly who I am, and I know exactly what I'm doing down here. I hate being here. Hate it. But I have a job to do, and I'm going to do my job, because I can guarantee you that my Father only chooses the best of the best. He only chooses the mavericks. And if you stepped into my shoes for just a second, you'd stop breathing and your heart would stop beating, because you wouldn't be able to hold up underneath the persecution. So again, right, I'm trying to explain who I am. I'm trying to identify myself so they know who they've come for. So I do live posts. Where's one of these that they really fucking thought was the bomb? There was one I posted here and everybody was like, where? Oh, this one here. Right, so man and citizen, you get that? Like, you can't be both. Like, you got to choose one. You're either going to stand as a man or a woman if you can prove that you are, or, you're a thing, a citizen, a thing. You understand that, right? The law societies are a private membership association. They're not public servants. It's a coven of witches going around committing fucking acts of genocide and murder, theft, and destruction and thinking that it's civil. It's not. Legal is the undoing of the living law. Yes, it is, man. Remember what I told you? The omission of the surname by either, okay, well, I could never be a plaintiff or a defendant, right? You're never going to reduce me to a thing. I'm sorry, I don't play that fucking game. In a legal process prevents the court from acquiring jurisdiction. So why do they speak in a different language, those witches? That only those witches can interpret. You allow that to go on in your society? You listening to this, are you still listening? Are you still there? Are you still paying attention? Are you learning anything? You allow that to go on. Because they're all in on this, you get me, right? Like, all the police, they're all on the same team. So Leviathan in Scripture is commerce. It's the money monster. It's Mammon. Yes, it is. That's what they're talking about here. Admiralty Maritime, right? You're dead and lost at sea. You're a vessel. Now they're going to salvage everything attached, to your name, your legal name. Yeah. Maxim of law. Legality is not reality. Right, because what does life have to do with death? They have nothing to do with each other. You can't mix the two. Listen, there's nothing mixed in the kingdom of heaven, okay? That's why the king's people were created after his image, and he's a man. He's not a monkey. He's not a human. No. All acts and statutes known as, acts are statutes. Known as legislation, regulation, rules. That's not law. That shit is subject to the consent of the individual. And not collective consent, the same as you're policed by consent. No consent, no contract. Never give them your details, because this is seen as consent. Basically, you can't talk to these fucking circus monkeys at all, right? You can't have anything to do with them. So here's a post from my YouTube channel, because I've had to try to figure out, just to stay sane, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why does this shit keep happening to me? It's a lot to carry, okay? So this is a 6-minute explanation of why my people are tracked and targeted. And it's just brilliant. Like, it was so comforting to listen to. And then here's the rest of the post. Because I don't know if you're aware or not, but Canada's trafficking children to perverts. And now we're stealing houses because we're gonna make sure that the Asians have a way to launder money, and we're gonna make sure that these fucking beast-of-a-lile bankers have a way to create all these fraudulent as fuck mortgages. That's my YouTube channel. Well, you'll know, right? Because you're gonna be listening to this on YouTube. Okay, so let me explain this. Right, Cain and Abel. Cain is a creature. Cain's the creature. Cain's the human. The snake in the garden is a human that approaches Eve. Wants to show her, well, you know what goes on there, right? Like, come on, let's not be stupid, all right? So this is the truth. This is the fucking truth. Kind after kind. If you know the way, the truth, and the life, you realize everything in the kingdom of heaven is pure. There's nothing contaminated. There's nothing mixed in the kingdom of heaven. Right? So Job goes into this. Genesis goes into this. 2nd Ezra, it goes into this, right? There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft set out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. Humans are legally defined as monsters. They have to now, through medical intervention, can have a woman like me give birth to a monster. Yeah. Because in nature, my body would reject the monster and abort the monster, because my body can't give birth to a monster. Right? That's why I can't be having any type of sexual activity with any of these male beasts, because that's bestiality, and that's a death penalty offense. So when they forced me into prostitution, you don't even understand what that did to me. Because I do understand. I understand everything. There's very little I don't understand. And if I don't understand something, if I do some research on it, believe me, I will. And I'm not an arrogant woman at all, but I do know what authority I walk in. I can boast about one thing and one thing only, and that's I know the truth. And my Father is the truth. He's the spirit of truth. That's who sent me here. So why are humans and chimpanzees 96% genetically identical? Well, why don't you explain it to me then? right? Rh positive blood contains monkey DNA. Humans are legally defined as monsters because these are not people. They're not. Evolution's a fact, folks. I'm sorry, but it is, okay? This is the planet of the apes. Our cousins, the chimps. Right, so here's my brother. He's like, well, fuck you, right? Like, fucking not my circus, not my monkey. He's like, I don't know what the fuck is going on down here, but when I was down here, I got treated the same way. You know, the fucking circus monkeys are fucking rolling up in their fucking outfits and their bullshit, just like they do to me. Who are you? Oh, bitch, who am I? Who the fuck are you? Because I know who the fuck you are. And if you're fucking coming at me, you don't want that, because now I have to be a witness against you. Because my father has to have 2 witnesses at all times. Himself, well, there's actually 3. There's the scriptures, which are a witness. My father is a witness, and then his people are the other witness. 3 witnesses every time. Every time. Right, so that's why my brother's down here calling names. He's calling them snakes, calling them fucking pigs, calling them dogs. You don't actually believe that that's coincidence, do you? He knows who he is, okay? We are eventually taught who we are. So evolution's fact. Right, so I'm trying to do my best, right? For those of you who actually are interested in the truth, you're listening to a woman of truth, because in the scriptures it's crystal clear. You know, beasts of the field, what's that? Those are the humans, right? In 2 Samuel and Isaiah and Matthew and Deuteronomy, right? My people are talking about thorns. Now, when I was doing my research to try to explain who I was to the world, because nobody understands me, and so that's extremely frustrating for me, I ran across this information, and they've got Rh positive and Rh negative, and they've literally placed those green little tabs, those green thorns, around that blood platelet. And I'm like, well, is that a coincidence? No, because go read 1 Samuel 12:2, 2 Samuel 23:6, and Matthew 13:41. That's exactly what's being taught to you there in the scriptures. The scriptures are going to tell you that these are the beasts of Belial. These are not people. These are creatures. They're like cursed cockroaches, man. And this is why you're informed to purge the evil from among you, because if you don't weed your garden, now the fucking weeds have taken over completely, and we're all being choked out. We're all being choked out. Right? What do you think the cause of global warming is? Well, not purging the wicked from among you. That's the cause of global warming. Right, so how does the legal world view you? Well, human being is defined as a monster, right? So how do you check your blood type? Well, you can go purchase an Alden card test from Amazon or iHerb. And for less than $20 in about 6 minutes, you'll know which one you are. Now, if you're listening to me and you're a righteous individual, we're not going to have a problem with each other. It's the wicked and the righteous that have an issue with each other. Okay, so here's the problem, right? This is why I can't call these fucking circus monkeys anymore. Because it's written in Isaiah, in Mark, and in Jeremiah, right? That hear this, O foolish and senseless humans. You got eyes, but they don't see, and you got ears, but they don't hear. Right? They may ever be seeing, but never perceiving, and ever hearing, but never understanding. Right, okay. Go tell the humans, be ever hearing but never understanding, be ever seeing but never perceiving. Now, when you've got the truth being told in the scriptures, you're going to find the same thing being said by more than one of the peculiar people. So you've got my brother Jesus, you've got Isaiah, and you've got Jeremiah and Ezekiel. All of them would be the peculiar people. All of them have Rh negative blood. All of them have the INFJ personality type, just like I do. This is why you know this is the truth, because this is my experience here. This is exactly my experience here. You realize that mortgage fraud's like right out of control, right? And it's all over the place. Like, this truth is everywhere. Like, they're trying to tell you all the time. Well, here's that Bossio's name here. Right, and here we are, we're stealing money. So these monkeys can write down anything on a piece of paper and send it to you, and they can just completely destroy you with lies. And that's exactly what's happened here. So this presentation is really important to listen to because I go into what's going on and how they did this to me. It's 2023. It's the 7th. Just rounding up on about 4 o'clock in the afternoon here on the West Coast. You are listening to a woman who is hated by the world. Because the circus monkeys are just going to let this continue on, right? They're going to grossly neglect me to death. And that's what they're trying to do. That's why they refuse to engage. So on Good Friday, after I corrected my status, and I told them that you can't keep fucking coming at me like that. You can't keep coming and attacking me and keeping off the stolen land. There's quiet for a while. And then all of a sudden, at 9 minutes after noon on Good Friday, there's a male monkey acting as the criminal organization Saanich Police Department pounding on the door here. And my iPhone 6 is barely functioning. So I tried to record the assault, which lasted less than 3 minutes because there was witnesses at that time of the day right here. So the pig couldn't stay and continue on with the intimidation, the assault, the harassment, the uttering threats, right? Because that's what they do every time they come to the door. Well, you can go in and you can hear the assaults. Because I taped them. That one didn't get taped. But so the pig hadn't come to the door after that, right? They couldn't come to the door at that time because I've let them know. You have no jurisdiction over me. You do not govern me. You have nothing to do with me. I outrank you. I outrank all of you pigs. All of you. You're like a cockroach on the floor I'm going to squish, you know? You've got no hope and you've got no future. You're just fucking compulsive liars. You're murderers, thieves, and destroyers is what you are. And so then I have to, because they're not listening, right? Not listening. Just like nobody listens to my brother today. My brother is crystal clear that Paul's not an apostle, right? He goes over it repeatedly with you folks. But, you don't want to listen to my brother. You're all swallowing that puke from the false apostle Paul, which is fine. You go right ahead. I'll teach that lesson later. I don't have a lot of strength most of the time. Facilitating terrorist activity, well, there you go. Yeah, because here's the deal. Like this Scotiabank, they got a fraudulent mortgage right now that they're making, it's called racketeering, right? They're making illegitimate income look legitimate on stolen property, right? Property obtained by crime. Okay, well here now it gets real good, doesn't it? Let's take a look at this. Offenses against the administration of law and justice. Well, that's what's happening every single day. Every single day. And I'll show you. So March the 19th, there was a coven of savages who violently, viciously forced me from my stolen property during a ban on forced evictions. And criminal David Eby knew all about this. Criminal Mike Farnsworth knew all about this. Criminal Richard Fife knew all about this. Criminal Lana Popham knew all about this. Criminals who act as person Saanich PD knew about this. So here they're finishing off the act of genocide with their lies and their bullshit. Because this petitioner never was caused loss, harm, or injury. So this is a lie. This is all lies. This is all smoke and mirrors. Right? So bankers can be guilty of racketeering. Because every day that I'm not back where I belong, the offense against the administration of law and justice is taking place. So breach of trust by public officer. So that's exactly what happened today, again, at 10 minutes after 12. There was a male monster here, guilty of breach of trust by public officer. That male monster is also guilty of disobeying a statute. That male monster is also guilty of corroboration in committing genocide. Fabricating evidence, well, that's what's happened because these fucking savages are going to have to go to court. under pain of perjury, right? Penalty of perjury, because they'll be committing perjury if they go into the whorehouse and make any type of claim that I have harassed or trespassed.
So, that would have been on April the 7th, right?
2023.
That's when they've come again and attacked me.
It's March. It's 7 o'clock at night. And if you've been following me, you've heard me and seen me drop off notifications to trespassers who are utilizing stolen property obtained by crime. So you've also heard me ask
They've completely
these
destroyed the
trespassers
fucking
to
land
have
on the
vacated
fixture, by the way.
this evening at 6
The Asians,
o'clock.
right? Completely fucking
And there is a car in the
disgusting,
driveway.
incompetent, just disgusting.
Let's see who's in the
But
driveway
since
here.
BC's owned by the CCP
We've got a
now,
car
right?
here.
All the Asians are above the law.
Here's the vehicle, DD724X. So when the person's acting as police punch that number into their computer system, they will know who is occupying stolen property. Because twice a week in Canada, mortgage-free properties, land is being stolen by bankers and their compulsive lying solicitors. And so this is March. This is Fraud Prevention Month. The entire month of March is Fraud Prevention Month. And it's the persons acting as Saanich PD who are guilty of fraud. It's Benjamin Howe and Sandra Dennis are guilty of fraud. What's happening here, these criminals are guilty of mischief causing danger to my life. And the imprisonment for that crime, the punishment for that crime is imprisonment for life. And so what we know about the persons acting as the attorney generals in BC, they are corrupt, they are criminals, they are aiding and abetting title and application fraud, as has David Eby, who received a registered mail package that this crime was taking place. So this is genocide. This is stolen property. This is in-trust property. This property is owned by a trust, by a natural person. This property is owned by a natural person. And the persons occupying this property don't have a contract with me. And so what we know about the persons acting as Saanich police, they are violent. They are violent criminals who are aiding and abetting criminal acts against the CEO, the power of attorney, who controls this property, which is not Senator Dennis and Benjamin Howe. So Senator Dennis and Benjamin Howe have a fraudulent mortgage and a fraudulent title on stolen property. CIBC and their solicitors committed application and title fraud to steal a mortgage-free property so another bank could put a fraudulent mortgage of $680,000. And then those criminals passed off to the two criminals who have adverse possession of stolen property. Now, I don't know how many times I'm going to need to explain this, but next, so I'm not going to be refused service during March.
Which I was, right? Because they fucking hate me. Fraud. Fraud, man. They're all frauds. Every politician is a fraud. They have nothing to do with serving anybody. They serve themselves. Canada's communist. Wake up. They don't even follow their own fucking rules, right? Like, are you kidding me? Anyway, I'm exhausted. Like, you don't even understand how exhausted I am. I'm so fucking tired. Well, this is what was prophesied that would happen. So do you understand that the righteous hate the wicked and the wicked hate the righteous? Do you understand that my native language is Scripture? So the character of the righteous, the ones who are chosen. So who's gonna gain entrance into the kingdom of heaven? Well, those who despise the vile. You better understand that. I'm not a Christian. No thanks. No thanks. We hate falsehood. Right? So again, I'm trying to explain to those with eyes that are blind and ears that are deaf. And, there's just no capiche. It's like talking to a pig. It's like talking to a dog. There's no difference. But, this is why. It's just, well, here you go. The truth sounds crazy, as prophesied in Hosea 9:7, John 12:44 and 45, 48 and 50. To those of the world. Exactly like it says. Exactly like it says. You see, these fucking monsters, these humans legally defined as monsters, think that you're crazy when you talk about things that they can't understand. They can't understand. They have no capacity for understanding, right? That's why there's a difference. That's why they came for my brother and they murdered him. That's why. My father set up an entire generation to be guilty of blasphemy because they hated my brother. Now, my brother was not down here to be slaughtered to save the wicked from their sin. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. And you better drop that like a fucking hot potato if that's what you're believing. Because it's a lie. It's a lie. There's no blood sacrifice to save any fucking wicked piece of shit, okay? That's a lie. That's false doctrine. Drop it. It's got nothing to do with the truth. So what are we going to do about this? Because I can't let this continue on. And for those of you who don't understand why I speak the way that I speak, you have no idea the kind of pain that I'm in, do you? Because you're not the one standing in my shoes. So here's some truth for you. Let's drop a truth bomb. Okay, let's drop some truth here. Did you know that profanity is good for you? Did you know that? Swearing or profanity increases the tolerance for pain. Because what am I supposed to do, right? Like, I'm not a violent woman. I'm a peaceful woman. But I'm carrying an amount of pain that is meant to drown me, right? Completely destroy me. So studies show that people who use swear words have bigger and better vocabularies. Swearing is a sign of intelligence. Because I got the circus monkey. I got the monkeys, right? I got the humans who come at me and try to point out things about who I am and what I am. Really? So swearing is an emotional release valve, and the studies show that people who swear, like a sailor, are more honest and more intelligent. How do you like them apples? For those of you who have a problem with what you've heard me say in the past, if you are listening and you are concerned, and you should be concerned, letting out a few choice words can help relieve pain and might even make you a little bit stronger. Did you know that? Well, that's knowledge. That's knowledge. So I arrived here on, I believe it was a new moon, so the 28th of June. That's important information. Right, it's a piece of the puzzle. That's who I am. So that's why that information's important. No, I'm not into witchcraft. I'm not into astrology and all that garbage. But like I say, I got to use the world's information to explain to the world who I am and what I am. You know how tiring it is to be this enraged every day, all day? Do you have any idea? I'm getting meaner by the day. Because, man, I didn't get respected when I was nice. I fucking tried. Listen, I kept telling them, stop it. Yeah, exactly. And you realize that this happens to me, right? That I get these fucking monkeys coming at me, calm down. Well, that's exactly what I look like when fucking some motherfucker tells me to calm. You don't fucking tell me to calm down, bitch. You're not standing in these shoes. You're not hated by the world. You're not hated by the world. No. You don't tell me to fucking calm down. So that's how she rolls. And it all has to be returned, right? Like, it all has to be returned. Okay, what's happening over here? Let's see ooh, money launderers. Oh, look at this. Canada has seen suspicious money report surge. Really? Well, then how come when I say something, fucking everybody's like, oh, she's lying, she's fucking crazy, she's fucking lying, she's crazy. It's because you're the fucking liars. That's why you fucking talk to me like that when I turn around and tell you the truth, right? So this thing was in my home. Criminal and sociopath, Demon Daniel, the cursed Cockroach Carol of witch-infested Kamloops, BC, and CIBC. This is the first monkey that was hired to steal that property. So Buddy, when he realized what was happening, because I informed him, I'm like, look, you're about to be committing a whole bunch of crime here, and if you got a family, you don't want to be rolling this way because you're going to end up, well, listen, where I come from, we don't put the circus monkeys in cells, okay? That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard, and it helps no one. It helps no one. That has nothing to do with law and justice, putting a sick fucking cockroach in a cell and then letting it out at some point. Have you ever heard this fucking statement in Canada that these fucking sewer rats spew? The sentence is life in prison with the possibility of parole, right? So there you have a double-minded motherfucker speaking fucking spew. Because you just heard them say that it's life in prison. But then they say, well, with the possibility of parole. So then it's not life in prison, isn't? I'm not playing that fucking game. Where I come from, we fucking euthanize these sick dogs. Yeah, we euthanize the sick dogs where I come from because we can't have that fucking shit hanging around. No, because there's no accountability, right? Like, it doesn't deter crime. It doesn't deter wickedness, putting the fucking sick motherfucker in a cell. That has nothing to do with law or justice. And how can you allow that to happen to victims of crime? Yeah, you're responsible. Yep, so buddy here, but did this thing go and say anything to anybody about what was happening to me? Did this thing come up to me after it knew it was happening and go, gee, if you're in trouble, you can come stay with me or us, or I've got a place for you to stay, or do you need any money, or are you okay? Does this motherfucker do any of that? Fuck no. Nope. Yeah, look at these two monsters here. My name is Bradley Walker. I made $15,000 committing an act of genocide against an innocent widow. Because I'm all about the money. I'm a mindless fucking real estate maggot. Oh, okay, so here's what you need to understand. Once the Beast of Belial bankers flip the house over into their name so they can steal it, all the closing costs belong to them. So why then did they steal the closing costs from the inheritance? Why did they steal it from the estate? Well, you tell me. Why didn't you explain it to me? So here we have a coven called Sutton Group. Some witch has made $8,000 committing an act of genocide. And then we've got the Jones Co. coven. And that coven made $15,000 committing an act of genocide, because it's all about the money. All about the money. Yeah, oh, and look here, look who the purchasers are. Well, those aren't Caucasians. Those aren't Caucasians, okay? Those aren't Caucasian names. So they need to launder money. And during this time, you have to understand that the casinos, they can't launder money through the casinos, which is how they usually launder their filthy lucre. So they move into the real estate industry, and that's where they launder their filthy lucre, with the full fucking cooperation of the other fucking sewer rats acting as the court. So here is the title search that I had to do. I did a title search to figure out, okay, so what the fuck has happened to that property? And here you've got Kirsten Martin. Kirsten Martin's taken photos of stolen property and posted it all over social media. It was posted on martinhomes.ca, Zolo.ca, and Zillow.com has got pictures of my stolen property with my stolen personal chattel being utilized by 2 money laundering Asians who stay with the property for 1 year to the day, and then within 2 weeks they've passed it off to their criminal pals there. Fam Holdings here. Yeah, because you see, only Asians are allowed to own property in British Columbia since British Columbia is owned by the Communist Chinese Party. The Chinese Communist Party owns BC. So what do you think? What do you think I should do? What do you think? Because I'm pretty tired. Pretty tired. The level of fucking evil that's going on here in Canada. You know, with your pedo politicians and your pedo police. And your fucking corrupt as fuck sheriffs. Belly. Belly. That's not a signature. So who and what is Belly? You better get it through your heads real quick that everything means something. Everything means something. And there's a reason why that's there. So the wicked are useless. Remember I spoke that before, that truth before? So Belial. Jeremiah 13:10, Ezekiel 15:6, and Hosea 7:16 are going to explain all of that to you. So Belly. So a worthless person signed in order to commit genocide, which then prompted other satanic savages to act on the fraudulent as fuck documents. So all of this fucking crime can be committed where everybody fucking stays silent. Everybody's fucking staying silent. I got a BitChute channel, I got a fucking YouTube channel, I got an Instagram channel, I'm fucking all over Twitter, and everybody's fucking staying silent. Yeah, well, sorry. Fuck, just unbelievable. Well, the world doesn't hate any of you, does it? No, it doesn't. But do you know why it hates me? Because I'm the woman with eyes that see and I'm the woman with ears that hear. And so I have to say something because by law, in the living law, if you know something is wrong and you don't say something, you become guilty by association, right? It's complicity. Silence is complicity. You know, it's like tacit agreement. That's why all of us peculiar people say something, which is why we become targets. My sheep hear my voice. I know them and they follow me. So that's why none of us would ever be following the false apostle Paul, who is not only a Freemason, but also a murderer and a witch. And that fucking sugar-coated Satan sandwich, man, is what them fucking Christians swallow all day, every day. No thanks, I'm good. Stay the fuck away from me. Because if you're going to worship my Father, you have to worship my Father in spirit and in truth, or he's not interested in you. Anyway, have we had enough? I know I have, because every time I do this, it is so damaging to me because I have to relive this. Right? So you understand that, right? You understand who this is? This is a criminal. Oh, you see, and then I had to have a big fight with these fucking fucktards, these fact checkers on Instagram. Well, the facts and the truth have got fuck all to do with each other, so you ain't coming at me with your fucking bullshit, because I'm not posting any fucking thing that's false. But you go right ahead, the fucking circus monkeys, eh? Fucking circus monkey galore. So here's the description box on my YouTube channel. And now why this is important, why I'm showing this to you, is because there are links at the bottom of this page. There's my Instagram page, there's my BitChute page, and there's a couple of Twitter accounts, right? Because I'm constantly getting blocked by children of the devil on Twitter who can't handle the truth because they're not of the truth. You know, they're wicked. They were born that way. They're going to die that way. So that doesn't mean that I stop saying something to them. Do you know what I mean? Like I have an obligation. Because if I don't say something to them, they're not going to be held guilty, and that's why I have to say something. It's the living who have to say something to the dead. That's what ties them in those fucking chains that are going to get them pulled into the pits of hell. Playlists, really, really important. Let's see if where are my public ones? Because I have public playlists. So here's one about these so-called royals, right? There's a playlist here about these things called royals. They have no, this one's really important. This, the Commonwealth and the courts, this man is amazing, and he describes and he actually explains why they have no standing and why they're not royal. So that's really important information to get into this one. This one here, eternal hell is reality for majority. So that's true, right? And I explain it here, right? I explained it in the description. This is like, there's way too many witnesses of the truth about hell for there to be any question whether it's real or not, because all of the peculiar people are going to tell you that yes, hell is real, and yes, it's going to be the home for the majority. So here we have about, these are individuals who know and can see that there's a liar in that book. It's a test. It's a test for the world to see who's paying attention and who isn't. My brother explained that, well, the elect, the chosen, cannot be deceived, and we can't. You know, I could show you stuff about fuckface there. You're probably not going to want to hear it, though, right? If you're a Christian, you're definitely not going to want to hear that. So it's actually true. There is no blood sacrifice to save anyone at any time for any reason. That is not my father. That is not my people. That is a lie from the pits of hell. You need to drop that shit like a hot potato right now if that's what you're believing, because you're believing a lie. What part of truth do you not understand? Evildoer destined for eternal hell. Job 36:18, Psalm 49:7, 89 and 48, Ezekiel 14:14, 16:18 and 20, and Matthew 16:26. Right? So it's actually written in the scriptures that it's the wicked who become a ransom for the righteous. So if my brother's a righteous man, he can't become a ransom for the wicked, because that's flipped it around, which is the, well, that's one of the laws of Satanism. Like the law of reversal is a satanic tactic, which is, you know, exactly what the world is bought into. So there's 12 videos here, right? One of them is mine that I created about, like, listen, the king chooses who he chooses to be his spokespeople, okay? He chooses men and women, right? So if you're one of the haters of the women, yeah, fuck off, okay? Seriously, you got serious issues with your character if you hate women. So there's proof here. I have proof. I have proof for you, some of it amazing proof, that there is no blood sacrifice, okay? No, there isn't. So stop that right the fuck now. So if you want to go in there, those are public playlists that you can go into if you're actually interested in the truth, because if you're not interested in the truth, then you're not interested in life. There's no love and there's no life in a lie. There's no love in a lie. There's no life in a lie. Which is why the call in every generation is the same. The call is to come out of her. Happens in every generation. Okay, well, and then of course we have the fun. So a month ago, I had to say something, right? And again, I couldn't move forward, right? They've got me trapped by poverty, right? They've literally wiped me out. They've stolen everything, and they're never going to undo it. Never. So there's some other things happening that I haven't talked about, and I'm not going to talk about it right now. So I'm about to upload this. But here are the videos. Here are the videos from... So this video here is really important. And I know no one's listening, right? This is what's so fun for me, to do this, to waste my precious time like this. 133 views where I go in and I literally fucking explain what these fucking satanic savages have done to me. And no one's working a remedy for me at all. No. No one's working remedy for me at all. So this is a good 44-minute one. That one's been viewed 385 times, which is exactly what every single upload that I'm doing, that's how many times it should be looked at by those who are interested in the truth. But the world's not interested in the truth. Too drunk on the lies, loving the death, and loving the hell. Anyway, that's what's going on now, so I'm going to try to push this forward. I have to take that property back because how can I, in good conscience, allow these criminals to continue on with their criminal activity, right? Even though I've been informed more than once that I will be murdered, I will be taken, I will be kidnapped by the witches acting as the Saanich PD and the Vic PD, and I will be murdered if I try to do the right thing. Because criminals are protecting criminals. And that's what they do here in Witchtoria, home of the witch.